Yeah, good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And my name is Warren Davis, and we are here to get your questions answered here on this beautiful Monday. It is Monday, the 23rd of March, 2020. And we want everybody to be able to type in their questions. Let me get my question box open here and see. Okay, thank you, Jim. Yes, we are doing well over here in beautiful Peoria, Arizona. Hope you all have had a good weekend and that you are feeling well, and hope your family's feeling well, and that you're not experiencing any of that nasty virus that's going around. We just want everybody to be safe, and different parts of the country are experiencing different issues from the some places are completely quarantined and others are just being invited to stay in their homes, and we're just choosing to stay put here for at least the next couple of weeks, and hopefully, we can get on the other side of this pandemic. But in any case, we're here to get your question answered. Just for a quick sound check and visual check, I'm hoping you all can see my LPG deal flow screen here, and I trust that you can hear me. And again, good. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. We're here to get your questions answered, and those of you that are here for the first time, we do have every. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. We do here. We're here to get your questions answered, and we do know that there are some new people on with us today. If you are needing to put in a question, or you have a question that you want to present, please go ahead and type it in the question box. I appreciate the fact that you put either a question mark or the word question in front of your question, so that we can distinguish between questions and comments. That's very helpful. And don't worry about raising the hand here. As you see the little hand symbol, I normally don't see that with so many of you in the room here. So appreciate it if you could just type in the word question and present your question, and it will display on a question box for me. And let's get right into getting some things addressed here that we've been hearing out there in the field. Want to also bring up our Investment Dominator screen so that you all can follow along with me with whatever it is I might be doing. So here we go. Investment Dominator screen, and one of the, I think we're going to be looking at the land deals. And hey, Brian's back there. Brian from Arkansas. I tell you, it's been a while since I've seen you on the call, Brian, but glad that you're back with us there. And any questions that you have, just go ahead. I'm sure you know how to type them in. You've been coming around for a while now, so want to make sure that we address, even any rumors and whatever we hear going around. We get that out to you all too, so that you can hopefully not react or do too much reacting to what you hear in the rumor mill. But those of you that are going to be on the 2-day workshop that's coming up, hopefully you've all heard by now that it's going to be done virtually. We're going to be online, but it will be a virtual class, and we'll have at least, we'll have the 2 regular scheduled sessions. We have one on April 2nd and 3rd, and then we have another one on April 20th and 21st. Those will go on as scheduled, and they will be done virtually at least at this point. And then there will be another time that you can physically, come in, fly in, and we'll go through answering any questions or helping you out with the live one-on-one training as well. So it is going to happen, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you online there on the 2nd of April. So question number 1. Okay. Yeah, I'll get to that question, Jim. Even I've heard about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I can go on and address it now. So far as I know, Jack and Michelle's, they have a 5-day online workshop starting on the 30th. And I need to check into that, because you're saying it's going to start on the 30th. So I'm assuming that's a Monday, and that means it would run for 5 days. So it'll run right up to the 3rd. So if they still have it it's scheduled, since that's going to be online, that I'm assuming at this point that it's going to still go on, because anything that we have online, it's not an issue. You can be wherever you're going to be at and still take part in that particular class. So if they've already got that schedule, okay, and you're wondering on the topics. Okay. And so I see we have some questions about the events coming up. So far as the 5-day, I'm pretty sure it's going to go on as planned. I don't know all the topics, but what we've been told in terms of the 5-day, and I think as Jack gets into the different discussions, sometimes he'll bring in other points other than the LPG deal flow. That's what it's going to be primarily about. He's going to carry you through the LPG deal flow at a very high level, selecting a target market, getting on and contacting a list of landowners, how to filter your list, and just going through all these topics that you see here on my screen right now at a very high level, right? Doing preliminary research, obviously not to the level that we get into it when we are in the 2-day workshop. There won't be that much detail. Mailing out your offers and option agreements, but you'll get a chance to ask about the deal flow and from a deal flow perspective, not from an investment dominator perspective. So it won't be that much detail. Marketing the product with or without owner financing, but you gain a lot of knowledge on the different aspects of your deal flow and that each deal goes through as you listen to Jack and Michele speak about that online. So to my knowledge, that's still going to happen. Okay, because normally they tell us if something is not going to happen so that we can then, we can be sharing the right information with people. Okay. One of the first questions I do want to, okay. One of the things I do want to make sure I cover here on this particular meeting today is, different ones are going into different counties. Obviously, we're all going into different counties, and in this process, you will, experience different counties, and each site is different. Seems like each county now is even coming up with more and more of their own rules and regulations. And we just wanted you to know from our perspective here, as we teach this, what can we do about counties? That's one of the first questions. What can we do about counties changing their rules and regulations regarding how they provide the public information? And the truth of the matter is there's not too much we can do about that. What we attempt to do here in the deal flow when you're looking at any of your land deals is we endeavor to tell you from our experience, what steps you need to go through, the overall process to, like let's say acquiring a list and how to ask for that list from the county. Some counties you can just call and you'll get the list. Other counties you have to email them. For some reason, calling them doesn't work. Some counties it's very easy to get into the GIS section and get a county shot of the actual parcel. Some counties it's easier to acquire back tax information, but the counties change their procedures kind of when they feel like doing that. So we can't nail down every single county and their, what they're going to be doing. So we attempt to kind of give you guys a high level, well, this is how you go about getting this information, which is public from the counties. For an example, Michigan we found out in the state of Michigan, they all have different charges. Like this state of Michigan charges, I think the last time we heard was $2.50 if you want records to determine any back taxes for any of the parcels. That's just an example. They're the only county that I know of, and there's 3,007 counties, in out the United States. They're the only county I've heard that charges for back tax information. There could be some others out there, but that just gives you an example. And there's really nothing we can do about that. That's just the overall what you have to deal with when you go to that county. So we just want to kind of give folks an idea that, hey, we'll do our best to give you the information on, the rare cases that we have, but pretty much each county has their own way of handling, giving out this information. So there's not too much we can do about that. Another general question that we had just recently here this past week was that, we heard that letternet printing was going to be closing up. I'm not sure if it's because of the coronavirus, but to my knowledge, they're still open. They do close on the weekends, but letterprinting.net is still open. And so someone asked, well, what if letter printing, does close up? Well, if letter printing closed up, that's the ITI. I just want you to see what it looks like if you haven't seen letternet printing. If letternet printing closes up, okay. See, we just got one of our students said, Kevin says that he just used it today, so they're obviously open and functioning. I sent a list yesterday, so I'm expecting to get my proof back sometime today, and hopefully, I was hoping they're still open. But if they weren't open, well, let's see. If they were not open, I would use REI printing. Search our user guide and just type in REI. And that's another mailer. I think they call it lpgmailer.com. This is another mailer that, that Jack uses for, doing his direct marketing and printing. Point being, if letterprinting.net closed up, I'd go over and set me up an account on this REI print mail. I found out from standpoint of monies, it's pretty close to the same in price. Obviously you have to have an account, and there's, the screens look different, but what I'm saying is, people, during this time, we might have to get a little creative, but if we do, that's just part of being in business, and don't want you to get too upset or worried about that. So here we've got letternet printing, one choice, and you have REI printing, which is another choice, okay? So hopefully that brings a little clarity there. Thank you, Kevin, for chiming in there and letting us know that he just used letterprinting.net today. And like I say, I haven't been notified that they were closed. I'm looking for my proof to come back so that I can get my letters out this week. All right, moving on. Another general question. Well, let me get Paul's question. Paul had a question here about the upcoming 3-day event. 3-day live event, which this live event is going to be held in Phoenix. So the question is the 3-day live event going to be postponed? That's May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And I don't know the actual answer to that yet, Paul. We've talked about it, myself, Jack, and some other coaches talked about it on a coach's call a week ago. And he said at this point, it's still on. At this point, it's still scheduled to take place in Phoenix. However, just by virtue of what we know is going on right now in the world, we don't know how travel is going to be. We don't know how long we might be quarantined, etc. So I wish I could give you more of a definitive answer, but I don't have one at this point. Based on what we got, it's still scheduled, and we're all still scheduled to be there. I know we're planning to be there. but we don't know if here in the next couple of weeks it might get postponed. If it does, you will definitely be notified immediately. Okay. So I tell you, it's quite a few folks on the call today. I like that. I like that. I'm sure more questions are going to be coming in. Let's see. We've answered that one on letter printing. Another question we had come in from the other webinar we had on Thursday, and this was Ed question. Ed was asking us, do I use a land contract or agreement for deed for a seller financing deal? And just want you to know, we have quite a few questions around, the business process. I'm going to try to keep everything as much as possible geared to Investment Dominator. But sometimes these business questions cross over into Investment Dominator. So Ed's question, do I use a land contract or agreement for deed, which I searched for that, and I didn't actually see a deed, an agreement for deed, but he may be thinking of something else here, for a seller financing deal. Now this is for seller financing deals. All right, so what I'm going to just share with you what I use. Now we know in the notes section here, we do have a new notes section. And let me see, let me use another account here. Shows it a little differently. Okay, we know now we have a lease purchase type of agreement, which is what our company uses. We use the lease purchase agreement as opposed to there's a loan. Now, primarily the difference right off the top, lease purchase agreements are rental credits. So we're basically leasing the land. And when those of you, I'm hoping everybody knows what seller financing deal is. When we sell a piece of land and we're going to get payments for it on a monthly basis, we do a lease purchase. We ask the person to pay X amount of dollars for the property down payment. That cost usually covers the cost of our land to our seller. So if we have it under contract for $2,000, we ask for a $2,000 down payment, and that covers the cost to our seller. So then we'll go on and settle up with our seller, and then we'll write up a lease purchase agreement as opposed to a loan. Now, okay, with a lease purchase agreement, they're rental credits, so we do not charge interest. That's the other difference. With a lease purchase, you do not charge interest. With a loan, you can charge interest. And also with a loan, you have for people that are going to be making payments, you have if they want an amortized schedule to go along with that, which is a way they can make principal payments on that loan and they can pay everything off sooner. At the time when we first got in the business, we didn't have the ability to do the amortized schedule, so we opted for the lease purchase. And so the main difference between these two is this is rental credit. Rental credit being, if there's a payment for $300 a month due, when the person makes that $300 a month payment, we give them a credit of, let's say, $260 a month. So for each payment they make of $300, they get a credit of $260 towards the balance of that loan. The $40 we keep for our own processing fee. Okay, so that's what we use in terms of a lease purchase. And let me show you, kind of give you an idea of what that looks like, those of you that may or may not have ever seen it. Okay, where might my lease purchase be? Okay, here's okay. This might be an example of a lease purchase agreement, you know, we put in the individual's name, and of course, whichever county they might be in, and we put in there the date. This is just an example of one. And let's see here. Okay. And so we start with, you know, we factor into the payment, the rental that they're going to pay each month. You know, we put the taxes in there, and a rate of, you know, $18 a month. This is what we use now. Everybody doesn't use lease purchase agreements, but there's a reason why we use a lease purchase agreement. We talk about the taxes and insurance premium, and then we come up with a payment, and we have a documentation and processing fee one time of $187.21, and that's all done at the beginning. So if we ask them for a $2,000 down payment, we actually take in $2187.21, and that's a one-time payment to take care of all of our processing and handling for that loan. And this is what they sign and get back to us. And we talk about the purchase price of the property, and they're going to get a credit. Their payments might be, you know, $250 or $260 a month, but they're going to get a credit. See, it says a credit of $208 a month. This makes it nice and clean, straightforward to us. And this is what we started using, you know, long ago. Okay, so that being said, this lease purchase agreement is in Investment Dominator. Kate is asking that question. Yes, it is in Investment Dominator. I'm sorry, Kate, not in Investment Dominator, but in the LPG. Your LPG should have a copy of the lease purchase agreement. Now, that said, now that we do have, let me change that. Now that we do have our notes and everything in, you know, and you can now process a lease purchase agreement. This is something that just recently came out. You should have all of your lease purchase agreements, not only in the Investment Dominator, but also, you know, you have them in your land profit generator system as well. You can get, and initially, because we didn't have the notes section, we got all of our documents out of the land profit generator system under documents. But now that you can actually process lease purchases, you can get them out of Investment Dominator as well. Okay, hopefully in the Investment Dominator. So, okay, basically, I have a few questions coming in about that. I'm going to, you know, I'll get to them as quickly as I can. We use rental credits. Like I say, there's no interest charged. So that's what we use in our company. So now a secondary question came up from Ed as well. What paperwork do we use to protect ourselves? Okay, and I want to make sure. I tell you, it's a struggle to kind of keep everything, you know, more Investment Dominator related, because I know there's a lot of folks that have business questions, which all make sense now, especially now that we have the notes section. But what paperwork do we use to protect ourselves in a seller financing deal? Simply put, we use the lease purchase to protect ourselves. This is basically all of this information says, you know, that I'm looking for specific wording in here, but the tenant agrees to pay us on this, to make this certain payments each month. And then it goes into what the tenant can actually do with the property. And it says right here, tenant shall not construct or undertake any improvements upon or to the property without written permission from the owner. The property shall be used only for such purposes and in such manner as unimproved vacant land may be used. So in other words, they cannot erect any building. They can't put up a fence. They can't make any changes to that property without getting our permission, because we're leasing the land to them. Now, how do we protect ourselves? Not only does number 7 help protect us, but we also keep this land in our name. Now, I know there are some of you out there that don't want to do that because, they say, well, what about the liability issues, Warren, that, go along with keeping land in your name and somebody else is able to go on the property? Well, the only reason why we allow them to go on the property is if they want to clear the property. We don't allow them to erect anything, do any building, just like our agreement says here. And they sign this and they get this notarized and they get this back to us. And we keep it in our name because in the event that they default, we don't have to go through any foreclosure proceedings. All we have to do is send them the appropriate letters saying you're in default, and then we pull the land back. I think I've talked to this with some of you about this. But this is our agreement that we use. So that's how we protect ourselves. A, we keep the land in our name. B, we get them to sign this document, which completely protects us. And if we think they're going to be doing something, let's say we did sell one parcel, 29 acres, and we knew that the person was going to be doing ATV riding and hunting on the property. So we actually built in liability insurance. We put liability insurance on that 29 acres, and we built that right into their payment. So they were paying us, their payments came to X amount of dollars because the liability insurance was put on that land, because we didn't want anyone to get hurt and have us be liable. So that's the other way that you can, that's another way that you can protect yourself. So around lease purchasing, I see we do have a question. Oh, okay. So, Kate asked, well, how do you use the note section to do a lease purchase? Well, you can see right here, if I come up here and I say add a new note, if I add a new note, I'm going to put in, whoever the buyer is and properties, whichever properties I'm speaking of, these are ones I have for sale. And then when I get right here to the note type, I'm going to, instead of a loan, I'm going to select lease purchase. And when I select that, I just simply have to go through here and fill out all of this appropriate information. What's the annual base taxes, what's the monthly rent going to be, etc. And once I fill out this information, I can create an actual note. So this allows you to keep everything in-house, and it allows you to keep everything in the Investment Dominator, where before this time, we had to keep all of our lease purchase information. We had to keep it in a big file, and we kept it on our computer, but this makes it so much nicer now that we can bring it into the actual Investment Dominator. So let me make sure I got that down. And the time. I tell you, you guys are coming up with some good questions, as usual. Use the notes section for a lease purchase. And this is something we're going to have to build into the actual workshop for the Investment Dominator to help people understand more how to utilize this. Okay, so then we had a question here from Dennis. Okay, we got questions, quite a bit of questions around this. I'll try to get it to all of them. So Dennis, if you use a lease purchase agreement, does the processing fee go towards having a company process the monthly payment and paying the property taxes, HOA? Yes, it does, Dennis. That's a good question. We build all of that into the actual payment. So with the lease purchase, does the processing fee go towards, actually, you know, the processing fee, it's not the processing fee go towards that, Dennis. It's actually on a monthly basis, the monthly payments. The monthly payments go towards having a company process the monthly payments. So now you can turn this, you know, any of these lease purchase or any of these notes over to another company to manage. And there's, you know, there's a couple out there that you can use. We're looking into that because we now have so many, we're getting to the point where we have so many lease purchase agreements to keep track of, keeping track of late payments, etc., having to send them out notices. That's really getting to be a hassle. So we're going to turn this over into the hands of one or two companies that can handle that for us, and they charge us a monthly amount, something like $18 to $20 a month per account. So the fee, this fee is going to be put into the payment for the buyer of this this particular parcel. Towards having a company, and that's what I would, you know, in the beginning, you know, you can keep track of it yourself, but when you get, you know, you get 20 or 30 of these lease purchase where payments are coming in, you know, at the same time each month or a couple of times a month, it's a lot to keep track of. And paying the property taxes. Now, so far as property taxes and HOA, when we settle up with our seller, if there's any back taxes, you know, we take care of those. Now, in terms of paying the property taxes going forward as you own this property, yes, that's also built into the payment. If you can remember what I showed you in the lease purchase agreement, one of the points I made here was right here, you know, 1/12 of the taxes. So 1/12 of the monthly, or excuse me, annual taxes we put as an annual installment. That's built right into the payment. And if there are any HOA, if there's any HOA that have to be paid, we build that also into the actual payment, the lease purchase agreement payment. And you know, usually the people don't have a problem because they haven't had to come out of pocket for the entire price of that parcel. Okay. All right. So get a couple more questions, and I got to move on with more Investment Dominator related questions, people, just so we can be fair to everybody, because we got quite a few questions in here about the lease purchase. So in order to do a lease purchase, Kate is asking, do you have to close on it yourself? Close on it yourself, of course. If you want to get under contract and flip it, you could not do a lease purchase. No, that's not true statement. You can still do a lease purchase. Understanding. Okay, let me write down doing a lease purchase. Okay. Do you close on it yourself? Okay, do you close on it yourself? And if you want to get under contract and flip it, you cannot do a lease purchase. No, You can. You understand, a lease purchase is actually just another way of doing a loan. The idea is to create that monthly income. So let's say I'm selling a property for, I purchased a property from a seller for, $2,000. Keep in mind, my down payment that I'm going to ask from a buyer, once I get a buyer, I'm going to ask the buyer to put down $2,000, right? Or maybe even $2,100 or $2,200 down payment. So once I start, once I get that money down, I'm going to open up now. I'm going to start a lease purchase agreement with my buyer. They're going to put down the $2,100, $2,200. I'm going to settle up then with my seller. So I'm going to close on that. I'm going to put that property in my company's name. And then I'm going to start collecting payments each month from my buyer. Now, remember, you've already paid off your seller. So this now becomes income into your company. And they pay you for so many years. And, you're making straight money after that's all your profit, because you've already sold it. You've already settled up with your seller. So this is how you create a monthly income. This is why I was able to actually quit my job, because we had enough seller financing deals that more than took care of my salary. All right. So that's how it's done. You can, you're not flipping it actually. You're leasing the land to a buyer, and they're going to make payments, and they don't get the land put in their name until they make all the payments and they pay off the entire whatever you're charging for the land. So that's how it works, and it's extremely effective. Okay, let's get it back into the Investment Dominator world here. Okay. So I started the other day, which we had we kind of ran out of time we had a question on how do we create public and private links. And there's so many questions rolling in at this point. What I'm going to do is I'll look at the questions as they come in today. And what I'm planning to do is, if I don't get back to them today, I will get them answered for Thursday, okay? For Thursday's webinar. So let's see, we talked about the other day underselling, and I think I created for you a public note, a public link. And yeah, in fact, I'm gonna delete one of these here. Okay, we created this link for you, which is a public link. And this public link now, one of the questions that came up, which I'll get to it in just a moment, but this public link is basically to go on your site, on your actual listing. And this particular link is doing a Google search. It's just doing a Google search. So you'll put in the site you want to go to, which is Google, and then this variable that you want to pass. All this is a variable, and you can pass multiple variables into the Google search, so that then what's going to happen when you actually bring up this listing, what's going to happen is the person can come down here and they can click on this public link, which is just going to give them a search of Arizona from google.com. So if they click on that, that's all that really happens, is it comes in here and it will do a search for Arizona. But it allows them to see how they could look at unemployment, Cardinals activity, coyotes, Humane Society. So there's different searches they can do. And links are basically keep your site clean. Rather than supplying your customers with all this different information about an area, you can have them go to a link, and this will bring up this information. Keep in mind, this is for you to give them, information about certain places to see in the area, what the county's like, utility companies they might want to look for, information on school districts. These public links can be created for many different purposes. And the whole reason that they're public, they're marked public. Remember, anything in Investment Dominator that's marked public, if it has to do with listings, this is going to go on your actual listing, right? So it's going to be public on your listing. Now, when I want to add a private link, all right, which is a link that I just want to use myself, or I want any of my team to be able to access this link. That's what a private link, and it gives me certain information, like if I want to see a particular, we're going to say a county GIS site map. If I want to see, whichever county I'm working with, this one could be, let's see, we'll just say Wake County GIS site map. All right. So if I want to see that map, I'm going to go into a particular county site. And let's see, the URL, I might say www.gis.com. And I'm going to look up particular APN. And I'm going to say equals 875,639 875,639-000, okay? And now keep in mind, this has to be on an actual listing, all right? So for this URL, because I want to go on a specific site, I'm going to say maps. That was the wrong thing to share with you all first. vhnc.gov/imaps/ okay. All right, so this tells me that when I type this in, this would be just like typing this in my address bar up here, right? And going into this particular county map. It's for Raleigh, North Carolina, and I would be displaying the map for this particular APN. And I'm going to set this up as a private link. So this is not going to display on my site. This is one for myself or my team to use. And so we're going to say we're going to add this. Okay, add this, and don't forget to always update your record. So now, you see, I've got a public link and I have a private link. And so what would this allow me to do? Well, let's just say that there's a customer that calls me up and they want to see this particular parcel, this 6.5 acre parcel, and they want to see that. I want to see what this particular parcel looks like, so I can give them an idea of why it's priced the way it's priced, etc. So now I can always have a picture of it down here, or I can use my private map link, and I can left click on that, and it goes right into the county map, brings up the county map, and let's see, should have brought me up to that particular APN. Let's see if this works. 7, 5, 6, 3, 9. Okay, didn't find that property for some reason. All right. Property for location. Well, the gist of it, I guess I'll have to test using another particular APN. Let's see. Let me try. Let me try another one here. So we'll edit this, and under post vars, let's see if we can do pin using the pin number. Okay, let's update this. Okay, so it should go into this Raleigh map, should bring this pin up. So that's information you have to get obviously before you create your link, but let's click on that. Goes back in, and thank you. Okay, we go right into the actual county map, and it's a private link that you're using now to see what your particular parcel looks like. And it should take you right into that particular county map. So this is just something that you can make a private link. This is just an example of what you can use it for. But you could have, going into this county map, you could have all kinds of access to different pieces of information. You could have a couple of these private links on here so that if someone were to ask you about the parcel, you're able to bring something up. I use the county map because I like to be able to see exactly when someone wants to know about a parcel. I like to be able to just click and go right to that parcel, and then I know what it looks like. So that's the way it's supposed to work. Okay. So it's different uses for these. I just want to let you know that this is just a way that you can use Investment Dominator to create all kinds of public or private links. And I was trying to think of some other uses, and is for adding a link like a private link or a public link rather. If I wanted just to look up, my metric conversions for, feet to acres or acres to feet, I could do that kind of a public link if I wanted to. It's just, there's a lot of uses for it, and those are just a few. Okay, let's move on here. So, Jim had asked a question, I think the other day, about, who can see these links? Just me or my team. So who can see these links? Who can see specifically the private links? Okay, and that would be your team primarily. Anyone that has access to these land records, these particular land records that you have, they're in complete ready to sell. So that would be anyone on your team that has access to this Investment Dominator account, and you've already stated based on when you edit their particular what we call what they're able to do, their functions that they can exercise. They have to be able to edit property. So if edit property is clicked yes, then they could go in and they can view any of these records that you're selling, and those are the ones that would have access to your private links. Okay. Lots of questions coming in here. Okay, the Thursday webinar, Mike is asking about that. Thursday webinar, it's just like this Monday webinar, Mike. Thursday webinar is, a continuation. We get on and we do the same thing. We answer questions. It's at 12 noon, actually Pacific time, but it's Mountain Standard Time, so it's 12 noon here in Arizona. And so if you're in Central Time, that would be 2 o'clock. If you're in Eastern Time, obviously that would be 3 o'clock. So it's the same thing we're doing here, Mike, at 5 p.m. It's just done at 12 noon. And this was done primarily to accommodate people's schedules, because some people can attend, like there's a lot of you that can attend these evening sessions, right? Because I guess, you work in Arizona and, you may live, in the same area, and some of you live in the central, and, it's after work. No, the same information is not covered twice a week. We're still in the Investment Dominator, and we're still taking questions, primarily about the Investment Dominator, but it's not the same information. For example, there are questions that I had coming in today, Mike, that I was not able to get to because we're going to be running out of time here. So if I couldn't get to the questions today, what I do, like let's say if you had a question for me today that I couldn't answer about whatever, I will go back, I'll get my list of all the questions I couldn't answer today, and I will start answering them on Thursday at 12 noon. So the whole point is, that's why we tell people under the help, and when you register for the Monday sessions and register for the Thursday sessions, so that you have access to all of our replays of previous live Q&A sessions. So if you register, then you can come on and you can get any of these sessions. So let's say, Mike, you couldn't be on Thursday because you have work commitment or whatever, but I'm going to be answering one of your questions on Thursday. Well, you could always come back in and let's see, this is the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. So when you see the live call posted on the 26th, you can come in here, and look at all the questions I answered, and you say, oh, that's where Warren answered my question on the opt-in page, because I wasn't able to be on the call, but you have access to the replays. Then you come over here, hit this video, and because I put a timestamp over here to the right, you can go 19 minutes and 30 seconds into the call. You don't have to listen to the whole video. Go 19 minutes, 30 seconds, and that's why I'm answering this question. What is the issue with the squeeze or opt-in page? And you'll say, oh, there's my question. And that's how it works. So I'm hoping you can attend both. But it's mainly set up like that so that people can have different schedule times, and that I can get back to their questions if I wasn't able to answer them on one of our webinars. So we had another question. Got a question actually from Paul. This was from the last class, the last webinar on 3/19. And Paul asked another good question of, how do you explain to your sellers why it takes 6 months to close on their land? That's a very common question. How do we explain to sellers about 6 months, taking 6 months to close? And a lot of folks are concerned about this, especially if you have a real estate background, and it's understandable. But I'll let you know. Yes, you're welcome, Mike. I'll let you know it's not a problem to explain to sellers about taking 6 months. That is set here under Customize. Just so you know, for your document template settings, if you want to set 90 days or 6 months, you go into your document template settings and you come down here and see of course, this is a demo account. You give them 10 days to reply to your offer. That's what this default offer accept by. You give them 10 days or 14 days, whatever you think is works for your company. And the offer expires. So this is where we go 180 days out. And we've been doing this consistently. We take 180 days, 6 months, communicating to them that that's the longest time it will take to close. And so what I tell my sellers, Paul was saying he tells his sellers that on the part of their organization, they're a part of an organization that works with investors, and getting the right investors and funds arranged takes some time. That's a good answer. That's a good answer to say. What we normally tell our sellers when they say, well, why does it take you guys so long to close? And we simply tell them that we're investors. We normally close sooner than 180 days, but it all depends on our due diligence process and the partners that we're working with regarding, that particular parcel. We're also working with other clients, and it takes some time to determine, based on our partners, exactly what plans we have for your parcel. In other words, I'm telling the seller, we don't know how we're going to use your parcel, and we're researching how we're going to use it within our company. So we also must coordinate the schedules of our attorney or title company for closing. And, we let them know some of them have been behind lately. So we're letting the seller know it's not just our schedule of closing, but it's when we can close with our title company. But we also let them know we normally close much sooner than 180 days. But we don't want you to be disappointed. And so we give ourselves that time. Paul says another good thing he wants to tell his sellers is that investors can be kind of skittish and funds are difficult to get confirmed. However, he said he's found a fast path to secure some immediate funds. Pay him payments with interest, and then make a final balloon payment in 12 months or sooner. And so that can be a good answer to give also, that, hey, investors are skittish and funds can be difficult to get confirmed. I mean, it doesn't take 6 months. But we just let them know that we have a lot of other partners we're working with, and we give ourselves this amount of time so we can do our due diligence and let them know vacant land is not like houses. So, vacant land requires more checking into, especially because we have people that want to build on it. We have to determine if the land can be perked. We have a lot of checking that we're going to do on their parcel. And so we've only had 1 or 2 people come back to us over the years and say, well, that's just too long. And if it's going to take you 6 months, we may not want to do the deal. Now, they said that, and then they came back and signed our contract, and they did the deal with us. So, I don't worry too much about that. We've been very successful, giving them the 6 months. And you do want to make sure you manage your seller's expectations. So that's about all we have time for today, people. It's been great having you on the call. A lot of good questions. Thank you so much. Let me leave you with this thought about perseverance, primarily about perseverance. So perseverance is the hard work you do after you're tired of doing the hard work you've already done. All right, that's perseverance. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you've already gotten tired of doing the hard work you've already done. And so continue to work hard, get those mailers out. We're kicking it up a notch here, even during this time with the pandemic going on. We're kicking it up and we're getting offers accepted. Oh, that quote, by the way, came from Newt Gingrich. Okay, that's Newt Gingrich quote. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your questions. We wish you much success in your business as you continue on. Have a good evening, and we'll be back here Thursday, 12 noon Pacific time to get your questions answered. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.